What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. All right, check this out. So I wanted to do something just a little bit differently on this one because we all know what's going down with Gina Carano, obviously. You can see on this headline from comicbookmovie.com, Gina Carano wants the Mandalorian job back. I don't know about that. I think there may be a little bit of nuance to that. But then she, of course, is suing Disney with the help of Elon Musk. And so I wanted to talk about this from this perspective. You go out there on social media and you're starting to read a lot of opinions about what people think about what's happening right now with this particular case. Even on this website, comicbookmovie.com, you get to the bottom of the article and it got a comment section. You know, everybody's discussing it and asking questions like this person, Evansley. Was she fired or didn't have her contract renewed? And then this person says fired wrongly. This person, Camp Blood, says fired for off-color trans remarks, I think. This person says fired for degrading the Holocaust. This individual says it was me, tells it was me, read a more informed publication, so on and so forth. So there was a lot of this going on, freedom of speech protects you from the government. If I was tweeting anything incendiary and my company warned me to stop, they would absolutely have the ability to fire me. This person says absolutely untrue, saying that we shouldn't institute a policy of requiring papers to enter public places because it was bad when the Nazis did it is not degrading the Holocaust. It's saying we shouldn't repeat those same mistakes. Like, everybody has their own take, And that was kind of the thing during the pandemic, is that everybody had like a different way of looking at the world. And you really started to see like the best of people and also the worst of people, how panic and fear can, overcome it, people to the point where they would start treating others differently. And I think that's what Gina was trying to say, hey, don't let panic and fear and don't let your ideology like overcome you and make you start treating your neighbors as enemies. You guys just have some differences in opinions. Don't let this become, come between you, and to the point where you're ready to round these people up and haul them off to the gulag. Don't do that. That's kind of what I've read from Gina's statement. Hey, come together, everybody, calm down, cooler heads prevail. And it wasn't even really her statement. Yeah, this was shared by Gina Carano from this Warrior Priest Gym podcast on Instagram. This is the thing that got her in trouble. This is the one that got her in the most trouble and ultimately led to what's happened. But yeah, I've seen so many people misconstrue this and not understand, the simple message, because what people tend to do is they start trying to draw conclusions where conclusions shouldn't be drawn. Oh, she must be talking about conservatives. Oh, she's talking about her personal situation, instead of just looking at it more broadly and taking the statement for what it is. Yeah, how is this different from hating someone for their political views? In other words, don't do that, Don't do the nonsense that was being done back then, Learn from history. But if history teaches us anything, is that we don't learn from history. We repeat the same mistakes again and again and again, all right? And what she's saying is don't repeat the mistakes of history, learn from history, and do better, Let's not be these clowns that, did this stuff back in the day. That's basically what she's saying. But in light of this information, here's what I want to do. I wanted to go through the actual case because there's so many people that say Gina Carano ain't got a case. This thing is going to get thrown out before it even gets started. Now, look, my nickname is the DA, okay? But that don't mean I'm a lawyer, all right? I'm not a lawyer. I'm a regular cat just like you. DA is, Derek Anderson. That's what cats used to call me back in the day. DA, what's up? Hey, it's the DA. Bring him over here. That kind of stuff, right? But I'm not really a district attorney. I am no legal background, no legal training, nothing at all. I'm just a regular cat, all right? But, I'm a layperson. So I want to read this and see how I understand the case from the layman's perspective, from the perspective of the common, everyday, average Joe. Because, look, she's demanded a jury trial. All right. So we're going to have a jury trial, and jury trials will be made up of a jury of her peers, people like you and me. So, let's go through it. All right. Gina Carano versus the Walt Disney Company, Lucasfilm Limited, LLC, and Huckleberry Industries. All right. You got to love the introduction. A short time ago in a galaxy not so far away. I love this. All right. I thought this was a great way to bring it out there, okay? Defendants made it clear that only one orthodoxy in thought, speech, and action was acceptable in their empire, and that those who dared to question or failed to fully comply would not be tolerated. So it was with Carano. After 2 highly acclaimed seasons on The Mandalorian as Rebel Ranger Cara Dune, Carano was terminated from her role as swiftly as her character's peaceful home of Alderaan, or home planet of Alderaan, had been destroyed by the Death Star in an earlier Star Wars film. All this because she dared voice her own opinions on social media platforms and elsewhere, and stood up to the online bully mob who demanded her compliance with their extreme progressive ideology. I think this is the part that a lot of these cats are missing, is that Gina was absolutely getting bullied. You know, they were trying to make her say things, act in certain ways that she basically is like, look, I disagree with this. I'm not going to do this. You know, I don't have any problem with you guys, but I'm not going to do what you're telling me to do. You know, and people were coming after her for that. People were slandering her and making all kinds of vile, you know, accusations and saying all kinds of things about her. And it's like, yo, I'm not going for it. You know, a lot of people cave into that type of pressure. Gina Carano wasn't. And it says defendants' wrath over their employees' social media posts also differed depending on sex. Even though the force is female, I love how they threw that in, defendants chose to target a woman while looking the other way when it came to men. While Carano was fired, defendants took no action against male actors who took equally or more vigorous and controversial positions on social media. See, something like that for the layman, for just a regular dude, something like that, you know, raises my antenna. Okay, so it sounds like there's some, you know, not even-handed justice going on, okay? You guys aren't applying the rules equally. You know, one person gets away with it, the other person gets fired. So what's going on here? You know, why is one person dealing with this while the other person doesn't? Now, we all understand it's directly due to the ideology, you know, but one could also make an argument, well, you know, it's okay for a man, right? It's okay for the male actors. Yeah, these guys, they can speak out. They can say whatever it is they want to say. You know, we okay with that, you know, but a woman, oh, no. With female actors, you can't say nothing. You know, you got to stay in your lane, you know, like that's, you could look at it that way, you know. And it's like, yo, or the male actors, they just have far more latitude. Okay, go ahead. But, you know, hey, man, don't say this stuff. You know, we're not going to demand that you go through all of the stuff that they were asking Gina to go through, you know. So, yeah, that kind of stuff, that raises, you know, my antenna. But the rule of law still reigns over defendants' empire, and Carano has returned to demand that they be held accountable for their bullying, discriminatory, and retaliatory actions that inflicted not only substantial emotional harm, but millions of dollars in lost income. Also, that definitely raises my antenna on that, because it's like, okay, you know, did she lose money? You know, is this just like a slight to her character, or did she actually lose some bread? Because if there was some sort of monetary loss, yeah, I think she might have a case, you know, but, you know, we still have to see. Then we get to jurisdiction and venue. And I think this is basically saying like, yeah, everybody's in Cali, you know. They worked in Cali. The defendants are in California. You know, they operate business in California. So this is going to be handled in California. That's the reason why we're coming here versus going to some other, you know, location or whatever. So, yeah, that makes sense, of course. Nature of the case, this is a civil action arising from the defendant's wrongful termination of Carano's employment in retaliation for Carano's lawful exercise of her right to speak and express her views. Specifically, defendants under the regime of former Disney CEO Bob Chapek fired Carano because of her posts, I guess, which will be called the post, on various social media platforms, including X, formerly known as Twitter. Carano composed and published the post while she was off duty and away from the workplace. In her post, Carano expressed her personal political views, opinions, and beliefs. In retaliation for Carano's exercise of her speech rights, defendants terminated Carano's employment and took other retaliatory actions to limit and deny her future employment opportunities. See, I also, again, these are things that I look at when it's like, okay, what's really the case here? You know, is there really any harm? Oh, yeah. They took actions to limit or deny her future employment opportunities, you know, included but not limited to making maliciously false statements about Carano with the intention of damaging her reputation and thus her ability to find and retain work. All right. So now we're talking about extra stuff. You know, they putting extras on it. We're trying to damage her reputation, you know. So again, I look at that. Whether they can prove it or not is a different story, but I look at that as just a regular person. And if I heard this, I'm like, yeah, I think we got a case here, you know? If a company is coming out and trying to damage your reputation, yeah, I think you got a case. I absolutely believe you have a case, to go up against that company. Further, defendants treated Carano differently than her similarly situated male co-workers. Yeah, we already talked about that. That one's huge to me. All right, let's go over the factual allegations. Carano's acting career takes off. Carano began her professional career as a successful mixed martial arts fighter before she was given the opportunity to try her hand at movies. Indeed, Carano is the first ever female star in mixed martial arts cage fighting to successfully transition to a career in movies, breaking down substantial barriers for women in sports. Again, she's got it, man. Gina Carano, for a lot of people, a female, like I was saying on the WDW Pro show, is that she's like legitimately like the girl boss that, you think about when it's like, oh, women can do anything. Women can make themselves into whatever they want to make themselves into. They can be just as successful, in a male dominated sport. You're talking about mixed martial arts, cage fighting. She built a career up for herself through hard work, through dedication, perseverance, the kind of stuff that you want to like salute and applaud. And she did it. And then she moved over into acting and she did that too. Again, talking about breaking down those barriers for women in the sport. I mean, it's just, it's commendable. Carano received roles in Hollywood and independent film productions such as Haywire, for which she was nominated for a Critics' Choice Award for Best Actress in an Action Film. Fast and the Furious 6, Heist, Deadpool, Almost Human, Extraction, Daughter of the Wolf, and Madness in the Method. On May 13, 2008, Gina Carano was the fastest rising search on Google and third most searched person on Yahoo, while being ranked number 5 in Yahoo's top 10 influential women of 2008. In 2012, Carano was the first recipient of the Action Fest Film Festival's Chuck Norris Award for Best Female Action Star. In 2017, Carano received the Artemis Action Warrior Award. 2019, she received a Rising Star Award at the Ischia Film Festival. Also in 2019, she was selected to present the Saturn Visionary Award to Jon Favreau at the 45th Saturn Awards. Carano was employed by the defendants effective September 18, 2018 for the role of Cara Dune on the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian. Defendants prominently featured Carano when promoting the new series as a part of the launch of Disney's new streaming service, Disney Plus. The following is an example of Disney's or the defendant's promotional material. Yeah, so, they were putting her all out there, front and center. There's Gina, along with Carl Weathers, Jon Favreau, Pedro Pascal. She was front and center, when it came to promoting The Mandalorian, when it came to promoting Disney Plus, As a matter of fact, I'm going to put a clip up. When I was at Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, okay? When they brought out the cast for The Mandalorian, Gina Carano was right out there with them. She was being heavily used in the promotion of The Mandalorian. So she wasn't just some like throwaway person, some throwaway actress that they didn't care about. All right. They put her front and center. Although her character instantly became one of the most recognized and popular characters in the series, Carano's master agreement listed her as a guest actor at the minimum salary of $25,000 per episode. Carano fulfilled all obligations under the terms of her master agreement in each SAG-AFTRA, so on and so forth, minimum 3 days. So she fulfilled her agreement because her contributions to the success of season 1 of The Mandalorian. Her agent sought an increase in her pay. Defendants refused, offering her a one-time bonus of $5,000 and again, minimum of $25,000 per episode in which she was to appear in season 2. Carano fulfilled those agreements, so on and so forth. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just interesting, like this section right here. It just kind of speaks to the fact that Gina made herself who she was. She built up her career, from the ground up, being a mixed martial artist, and then she moved all the way up into acting and then into a prominent role with The Mandalorian in the Star Wars franchise. I mean, she built herself up. So it looks like, and again, just the way I read it as a layman, they took it away from her. They took all of this away from her. Now the question is, did they have the right to do that? Were they justified in doing it? Did it make sense for them to do it? Does Gina have a case to bring to them by saying that these cats destroyed all of that because, we talked about, again, the retaliatory, and defamatory information that they put out there. Did Disney do the right thing, or was this indeed defaming her career and trying to destroy this? Think about it if you were on the flip side of this and you had done all the work to build up your career to the point where you're now like almost at the top of the game in terms of, being a superstar, Like in Gina's case, she's at the top of the map. She's in the Star Wars series. She's a very famous mixed martial artist. They're using her to promote the show. She's all the way up. She's all the way up. It doesn't get bigger than that. And then they, we're going to go on, but then they were going to give her own show. Yeah, here it is. November 2020, Jon Favreau, creator, executive producer of The Mandalorian, informed Carano that her life is about to change. So he said these words: her life is about to change because Disney had approved a new Star Wars spinoff entitled Rangers of the New Republic that would feature Carano's Cara Dune as one of the lead characters. And then, of course, Kathleen confirmed the production of the spinoff Rangers of the New Republic at the Disney Investor Day in December of 2020. Carano would have been a series regular on Rangers of the New Republic. The standard agreement for a series regular would have been comparable to what other Disney Plus actors received for other Star Wars spinoffs, a contract for approximately 6 years at a base compensation beginning at $150,000 to $250,000 per episode. Each season of a series typically has between 8 to 10 episodes. So we're talking millions of dollars now. She was going to be the lead actor or actress in Rangers of the New Republic, okay? She's going to be a series regular. Jon Favreau told her, your life's about to change. All of that kind of stuff, just months before firing her, and then you start looking at, well, why did they fire her? And then that gets into the reasons. So here it is. Defendants terminate Carano because of her speech. All of this came to an end February 10, 2021, when defendants announced through media that Carano had been terminated from her role as Cara Dune and would not be hired for any other projects with the defendants, all because she expressed her political opinions on social media. In announcing Carano's termination, Lucasfilm made the following public statement: Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Okay, so that's huge. That part to me is the first big thing that they got in this case. Obviously, I understood this. I spoke about this before. This piece right here says that Disney came out and made a statement based on their own opinions, based on their own beliefs or what they thought that she was doing. They didn't leave it plain Jane, just vanilla. They could have just left it with this original statement. Yeah, Gina's not going to be at Lucasfilm anymore. There's no plans for her to be here. We're done. Okay. And then that would have been it. But they came out and they put this in public. And this is where it gets into, well, were they trying to destroy her career? Saying that she's denigrating people, okay, based on their cultural and religious identities? Like, is that what Gina Carano is doing? And then in their heads, that's what they were doing. But is that really what Gina Carano was doing? And why would you put this statement out there? It's like a boss coming behind you talking, shit to your new employer. Your new employer is like, oh man, you've been out here denigrating people based on cultural and religious identities. Oh, like imagine if somebody was putting that out there about you and that followed you on every job application that you went, if you move from job to job. Imagine if that was you, because that's how I read this. This is a public statement, and other studios who may not have worked with Gina Carano before, they're looking at this information and they're like, wow, this is, whoo. Yeah, I don't think I want to work with Gina Carano, like that's what would probably be going on in their head. Again, that's how I look at it. You guys might look at it differently. You can let me know in the comments. A defendant's statement characterizing Carano's social media posts as denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities was false. It was also made with the knowledge of its falsity, with the purpose of harming Carano and to distract from the defendant's illegal termination and treatment of Carano. Defendants targeted, harassed, publicly humiliated, defamed, and went to great lengths to destroy Carano's career, all because she made political statements that did not align with what they believed was an acceptable viewpoint. So, again, layperson, I hear that, and I'm looking at what happened, okay, going to great lengths to destroy her career, a career that, is very commendable, just on its face, just looking at what she did. And looking at how Disney used her, in the marketing and everything, they were obviously very happy with her performances. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put her out there on the, on the stage, using her in ads and all of that. You know, so they wanted to use Gina's, you know, popularity. They wanted to use her as a woman, you know, to promote this show and pump her up. And they should have. They should have. This should have been the spotlight, should have been on Gina Carano, you know, because their ideology, strong female that don't need no man, like that's literally Gina Carano. A strong woman, don't need no man to, you know, climb the ladder. She did it herself, you know, to build herself up into what she became. It was all Gina all the time. So in my opinion, that's a very damning part right there. Okay. She made political statements they didn't like. And so they came after her and went to damage her career. Okay. Not just fire her and just, okay, go away, go away, go away. Nope. They went and above and beyond to publicly humiliate her, defame her, and destroy her career. And then it goes on saying Bob Chapek pretty much did the exact same thing. You know, he was quoted as saying Carano was fired because she didn't align with company values. And doing so, Chapek said those company values are values that are universal. Values of respect, values of decency, values of integrity, and values of inclusion. So they're saying, yeah, Gina doesn't represent any of those values. You know, she doesn't align with those values, in other words, you know. And yeah, that's defamatory in a lot of ways. You know, that's very defamatory. Again, especially if you're trying to get another job, you know, and somebody's saying this about you, you know, hey, I think I got a case. You know, I think I got a case to, you know, he's entitled to his opinion, but he can't be putting it out there in public like that, you know. At least that's the way I look at it. Again, I'm a lay person, okay? Chapek's statement that Carano does not stand for those values is false, basically, is what they're saying. His statement was also made knowing it was false and with intent to harm Carano, but it also shows that Carano was fired, not for her performance as an actress, but because her political opinions did not align with those of Disney management. Defendants also discriminated against Carano by treating her differently. This is going to be the one, okay? The different treatment of her male co-stars who also made public political statements on social media. See, I like this one. Okay, because there's a lot of stars that get out there, they say what it is that they're saying, they shoot their mouth off about different types of things, nothing happens to them. But if somebody with different opinions, different political leanings, they have a different way of looking at the world, if they say it, they're castigated, you know, and then they start saying, well, you don't align with our values and this and that, you know, of respect and decency and integrity because you think differently than we do, you know, so we're about to destroy you, you know, and that's the case, okay? The fact that, you know, her male co-stars were not disciplined, let alone terminated in a way to destroy their careers, even though some would find their statements abhorrent, all right? So I think they got a very good case when it comes to that. Now, I'm going to stop it right there because this video would be like five hours long if I kept going. We'll bring it back, okay? We'll pick it up here. Defendants harassing Carano for a political statement subjected her to vilification and allowed other employees to harass her because of her political views. We'll pick it up right there and we'll discuss this further. But so far, what do you guys think? Does Gina have a case just based on what I've said, based on what you've read with me? You know, does she have a case? Is it going to be something that goes to trial? Or they're just going to throw this thing out before it even gets there. You know, I think so far, so good. But, you know, we still got a long way to go. You know, you can see the little meter right here. All right. We ain't even close to halfway through this thing, you know, so we'll come back to this. I'll do another one of these in a few days. But you guys let me know what you think. Jump down in the comments. Give me your thoughts and opinions on that. And thanks for watching. See you next time.